Well, Razorback fans, how about that? You had not just one, but two transfer portal additions for Razorback basketball. Cal finally pulled it off. So let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday, as we have plenty of things to talk about. We'll do some Razorback baseball talk as well as some for the SEC football media days, which I know all y'all are all into and everything. But we got to start with the big news, of course. The Arkansas Razorback basketball team adding two players from the transfer portal, players that had been mentioned, players that had been on the radar, players that even had maybe taken visits, at least one of them did, and players that are actually big dudes. Big dudes. We'll start with the one that popped first, which, of course, is Nick Pringle, who is the South Carolina forward. And he officially made his presence known by saying, hey, I'm going to the Razorbacks. It's going to be his third SEC team. You know, one of these things I actually forgot about was that he played at Wofford to start his career. He was at Alabama, and then he was at South Carolina, and now he's at Arkansas. So he's 6'10", about 228, 30 pounds, something like that. You know, I think it's funny because I look at different weights and whether it's the team websites or ESPN.com or something like that, and it's always something different. I don't understand that. I was like, shouldn't there be some sort of consistency there? You know, like with the weight and everything. But either way, he's a big man. And this past year, he posted 9.5 points, 6.5 rebounds per game, while also having assists per game and a half a block per game. So yeah, he was one of those players that was like those double machines that could really, pop off at any point in time. Maybe it wasn't going for 18 and 12 every night, but would have those 11 and 11 games or those 10 and 10 games. So it wasn't his most efficient year that he had, but he was at 57.2% from the field with his field goal percentage, which is actually his lowest since being in dealing with the SEC teams that he had been at. So a major get for Arkansas because, again, you needed size. That's what was most important. You needed size. And to have somebody like Nick Pringle, which I'm sure that there will be plenty of jokes and everything, or at least some stuff that has been done for the chips. But he's a guy that you needed help with. You needed size. You needed some presence down low. And you get the 6'10", 220 guy who's a senior, mind you, going to be a fifth-year player. You get him out of the transfer portal from South Carolina. Now, the other one, and the one that I think that might be the bigger deal, and both of them are great players, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hate on anything, but you got Malique Ewin, who is the transfer from Florida State. He committed to Arkansas, and he was basically, like, what was it, an hour and a half, 2 hours roughly, after the announcement of Pringle. So he spent just 1 year from Florida State, but he started in all 30 games. So this is where it kind of comes into play. It's like, I'm not saying Florida State's some great team, but to be at a place like that where you have 30 starts, no matter what, especially playing in a conference like the ACC, down a little bit this year, but still had some good teams, that's big. He's 6'11". Dude's massive. 14.2 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists per game, where he shot 60% from the field. And something that a lot of Razorback fans may like, he hasn't attempted a three-pointer in his college career. Dude hasn't shot one single three. So some of you who are like, oh, we don't need any big men that shoot threes. I'm sick and tired of big men shooting threes. Burp, burp, burp. Well, you don't have to worry about him. 6'11", 230. And, that's what he's going to be focusing in on, is playing down low and being that physical presence. He had one of his best performances in the season finale win over SMU, where he tallied 26 points and 8 rebounds, was also 10 of 13 from the floor. Before transferring to Florida State, this is all according to On3, he spent the 2023-2024 season at South Plains College, which is a community college there in Texas, where he was the NJCAA All-American First Team Honors and was named the Junior College Player of the Year, which is why he got the chance to play there. He originally committed to USF, but decided to go play at the JUCO level. In his true freshman season, Ewin played at Ole Miss, where he made just 14 appearances. So another guy that had been previously at an SEC school. 4-star recruit who came out of high school. He was the number 93 player overall in the country and the number 10 center in the 2022 cycle. So this is where they're going to be looking at, and they're going to be trying to get some size and physicality down low. And obviously adding 2 players like this is definitely going to be helpful there as well. So I like it, man. You know, I know people have been waiting, and I know I definitely have been waiting for when this was finally going to happen, when you're finally going to have players. You knew it was going to be something, but this is good. Duh. Like, this is something that you needed to get people kind of back on board with it and feeling good about the direction of the program with the players that you're going to be having this next season. Now, the roster is not finalized. There's still a lot of work to be done. And I feel like you could be confident that this is off to a good start, because what we know right now, where it stands right now, and we know everything can change when it comes to the roster, the current players that you have are going to be Trevin Brazile, Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner, as well as Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, Isaiah Seeley, and you also have these 2 new transfer portal additions in Malik Ewin and also Nick Pringle. They also have that overseas kid that's gonna be coming in. I don't know how much he's gonna play or what role he'll play, but still, you have some roster spots available. You have some open right now, and to me, you know, it goes back to trusting in Cal and understanding what he's got going on. But to me, this is a great start. Like, this is a foundational type of deal where you basically have, you know, the players that are currently on. If you had to run a starting 5 out there, you would have a starting 5 that would be good enough to win and win a bunch of games. You know, you think about it where you have those bigs down low. You still have Trevin Brazile. You have Carter Knox playing a wing position. You still have DJ Wagner and a very experienced SEC point guard. You got Billy Richmond, who has, we'll see what type of role he plays. I know he's going to play, but we'll see, what he develops and kind of what the role he plays into more. But you got him. You got 2 McDonald's All-Americans, point guard and shooting guard, coming in. Like, that right there gets me excited. You know, that gets me pumped up, and that makes me feel extremely happy of where the program is currently at as far as the team and the roster goes. Now it's just about how you finish. You know, it's I'm hoping all 4 of those players stay at Arkansas, by the way, and not hit the transfer portal. I'm just going off of what we know right now, and what we know is that they are on the roster. So assuming that they are going to stay on the roster, I mean, how do you not get pumped up and excited about it? But you still have room. And this is going to be about how you finish. It's going to be for Cal of how you finish. There's names that are kind of getting thrown out there. I know Nate Ament is the player that I really boldly predicted that was going to come to Arkansas. And, I feel that way just as a gut feeling. It's not even just like sauces or sources that I have. But I feel like he's going to be a hog when it's all said and done. And that'll be a great thing. But, with the big men and what's going to be with the forwards and what kind of role is he going to play, I don't worry about that. I don't care about that. I just trust Cal. And I think having high school players, which he is a lot more comfortable with. He's a lot more comfortable with bringing in those true freshmen and coaching them up and getting them to play really well. And so, this past year, I think Boogie did a great job, even though he's hurt for a lot of it. But Carter Knox was awesome. I mean, Carter Knox was one of my favorite players at the end of it. And Billy Richmond, as a true freshman, you got to think he had some lows, like he had some bad times, bad games, but then he had some highs, man. And so if you could just limit the lows and have more of the highs, he'll be great. So the point is that you have a coach that's really good at coaching freshmen. And so if it ends up being Nate Ament, that's going to be icing on the cake. But if it's not somebody like that, if he's going towards the portal, and that's what he's really looking at and trying to hammer down here, there are some options. There's going to be plenty of options out there. I could sit here and name names of like this player and like this player, like this player. I'd like Jameer Watkins. I think that guy would be incredible. It'd be awesome to have him. But I really am going to be curious of what Cal starts to do with these final roster spots. Is he going to go the freshman route or the portal? Is he going to go with the guard or a forward? Is he going to go with a scorer? Is he going to go with a shooter? What is he going to do? And I guess for me, I would personally like, and not that he's asking, but I would personally like a shooter, I'd like to have somebody that can just knock down threes right and left, and you can count on them being consistent with their 3-point shooting. I know everybody wants one of those. And I think that Arkansas does have some guys on the roster that can knock down threes. A guy like Carter Knox can, Trevor Brazil can, DJ Wagner can. The new true freshman, though, I believe they will. Maybe one will be better than the other, but I believe one of them will at least. These two bigs don't look like they're going to be necessarily 3-point shooters. So I'd like to see somebody get added that way. Somebody to get added to where, when they come into the game and they have a wide open three, they hit it, where they're shooting 40%, something like that from three. That would be nice. But either way, I feel great. I feel as good as I do now, as good as I did before. And it's just nice to kind of have it finally like official. You know what I'm saying? And to have that physical presence, that's going to help you so much in dealing with a lot of the teams that you're going to be facing this year. I know that we could point to a bunch of different things of what made Arkansas lose games and whatnot, but there's no doubt that that game against Texas Tech, if you had a much beefier down low physical presence, you probably don't give up as many offensive rebounds as you did. You probably don't have the guys going inside on you as much. It just changes the entire dynamic of the game. And as long as these guys are willing and accepting of their role, they can step right in and be one of those guys. So you're off to the great start, and this is where it's coming into play. And I know Cal, he's going to have something up his sleeve, folks. This is another little like calling my shot. He's going to have somebody that's going to make a splash when it comes to the next get for Arkansas. Whether it's a freshman or going to be high school player, going to be a freshman, or if it's going to be a transfer portal pop, there's going to be one more big splash that's going to make us all dadgum near crap our pants in excitement, mind you. So I'm excited, though. Great job, Cal. Glad we could finally have some. Now we can breathe, all settle down. Feels good. Feels really, really good. Talk a little Razorback baseball on the other side of the break, and they're a little midweek. Nice little bounce back against UAPB. We'll do that in a second, so stay with us here on Locked on Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, the NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your team wins and if your bet wins. That's big time. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy. And from three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet on all of your favorite player prop plays. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into the same game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 bonus bet today at FanDuel.com. All right, moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Razorback baseball had a little midweek action last night. I was there at the game against UAPB. And the Razorbacks took care of business and a final score of 13-3. Run rule, a little walk-off action. I love walk-offs. I love run rules, at least on the receiving end of them. And so this was a good thing for Arkansas and to see them get going. But had really nice games. You have the Aloy brothers that both hit out home runs. In this one, Vahivo Aloy, he went 3 for 5. Every time I get him have to say him back to back. So I was going to throw me off. But Kuhio Aloy also goes 4 of 5. He was great. Had a home run, 4 RBIs in this one. And he had a nice game. Koziel has 2 for 4 in that one. How about Reese Robinette? Big country. 3 for 5 in this one. He's the one that hits the walk-off hit to seal the deal for Arkansas and gets it going. So 3 doubles for him. All 3 of his hits were doubles. So nice to see that out of him. You got Tate McGuire who comes in, gives up 4 hits and 3 runs. A little bit shaky there, but it settled in. And then Fisher comes in for 2 innings, gives up 2 hits. McIntyre was great. He came in for 2 innings, had 3 strikeouts. And so love to see that. And then Eves settles it out and gets it finalized there as Arkansas and UAPB goes to the 8th inning. So it was nice to see the bounce back because, losing a demoralizing game like they did against Georgia in the series they did in walk-off, it's just tough, and it's tough to win those. But I know it's UAPB. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing like, oh, my goodness, what a great win. But it is just, you're about the mindset. It was like, where's their minds at? Well, their minds were in a good spot after this one as they took care of business. So it's going to be interesting, though, to see what happens coming up because you saw Hio Aloy play right field, and they're having to make some moves here and move some things around. We have Kozel at second base still. You got Iredale at third, but You have to put Bowles out there in left field. Robinette played first base. Becker was playing catcher, which is not necessarily surprising there. But the thing is that it's about the situation with Nolan Souza. Nolan Souza hurt himself in the Georgia game. A lot of us who were watching that game remember, him getting up and they saw him in a sling. And from my understanding, I'm not going to report anything, but from my understanding, he's been in a sling, and it's just not great. So we'll see how that plays a factor into it, and hopefully he gets healthy because he was really coming along. I know he opened up the season and struggled a little bit there, but he kind of settled in a little bit, started getting it going in the right direction, and hopefully he can be healthy enough to bounce back and to come back. But it looks like that you might have Gage Wood back, which is going to be huge, as well as Coyle, yeah, all that. But I always get them all mixed up because there's we were talking about this on Inside Arkansas Live. Me and Andrew, it was there's Polk, Cole, Coyle, just so many of those names that were coming in all at once that were really close to it. But either way, you're going to have some guys probably coming back, but it's a matter of can you turn around and get the job done? Because now you play Thursday, like tomorrow. It's when the series starts against Texas A&M. Not exactly a great, easy turnaround end up happening, but A&M's playing a lot better. There's no question. They started off about as crappy as you could. They figured some things out. They won that series, as we know, against Tennessee. They swept South Carolina, which, you took care of business, but South Carolina is also pretty awful. So, we'll see how much that means. But, man, Arkansas, this is a series, you talk about not winning every series in the SEC. No one wants that. No one wants to have that problem. But this is one I want to win. I want to win this one against Texas A&M. You don't want to drop 2 SEC series in a row and then really go on the road again to go to Florida, which I don't care what Florida's record is. It's still Florida. It's still Kevin O'Sullivan. There's still always going to be a good program that can beat you and dig yourself into a hole to where those final 3 series against arguably the 3 best teams you're going to be facing this year in Texas, LSU, and Tennessee, you're having to be behind the 8 ball a little bit and having to win just one of them, or put yourself in a position to where you could really get falling behind and be in a bad spot. So this is, I don't want to do the must win stuff, but this is the one that you really need to take care of business in, and you really need to bounce back, and you really need to look good. You're crisp. You have to look crisp in the pitching side of things more so than anything, because I think the hitting's going to come along with it. I think the scoring's going to come along with it. But settle in, play great defense. When runners are in scoring position, please, for all that is holy, take advantage of it and give what Texas A&M gives you. And if you win this series against Texas A&M, you bounce right back. You're in a great spot, and you got to feel good about the rest of the slate. But it starts here, and that's where you got to take care of business. So we'll see. But nice little bounce back for the Razorbacks, and as they get ready for another big one. Man, I'm nervous about it. I feel good about it, but I'm nervous about it at the same time. But it should be a great weekend in Fayetteville, that's for sure. Talk a little football on the other side of the break. Some with SEC football media days in the schedule. Y'all may not care, but I think it's interesting. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I know that everybody is still very much in basketball mode and baseball and everything, and nobody really cares as much about the SEC football media days. That's because it's not coming out till July. But one thing that I've always liked about SEC media days is we can always enjoy parts of it. Maybe enjoy the absurdity of it all, because it is absurd. You get to hear from coaches and they say some wild stuff sometimes, which is kind of fun. I haven't had much of that here recently. But anyways, they came out with a schedule of what it is. And with 16 teams now, you have 4 teams and 4 coaches going each and every day. And Arkansas really has been pretty consistent in the Tuesday, Wednesday range. But this year they're going last, on the last day at least, on that Thursday. So just to lay it out for you, on that Monday, July 14th, Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, Shane Beamer, and Clark Lee. Kelly and Kiffin, great. Beamer, whatever. He's whiny, but he may give you something there. And then Clark Lee, yeah, we'll see. I see how that handles that. I think most people are going to be excited for Tuesday, where it's on July 15th. Hugh Freeze from Auburn, Kirby Smart from Georgia, Josh Heupel from Tennessee, and Steve Sarkisian from Texas. So Tuesday is going to be the big day. That's going to be the big day. And then Wednesday, you have Kalen DeBoer from Bama, Billy Napier on Florida, Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State, and Brent Venables in OU. That's fine, whatever. But folks, Thursday, man. Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, Eli Drinkwitz and Mike Elko. Whew. Man. We all know Pittman will be interesting because of the Arkansas angle, but like Stoops at Kentucky, yikes, I don't care. Like no one cares about Drinkwitz. He's just going to be there to troll anyways. And then Mike Elko from A&M, just very boring, very boring. So yay, SEC football media days. I actually enjoy it though. It's going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be there. We're all going to be there from Inside Arkansas. We'll have some great content for you, of course, and breaking it all down, and hopefully get a chance to hear from Sam Pittman, get a chance to hear from whichever players he ends up bringing. I know Taylor Green's going to be one of them. I think they bring 3 players every year. Taylor Green will be one. Maybe Fernando or Carmona will be the other. Cam Ball probably be the other one. Just throwing one names out there. Maybe that ends up what it looks like, but still get a chance to hear from all of them and everything. And Sam Pittman met with the media yesterday. And it's just amazing how, there's like maybe no news is good news when it comes to Razorback football, because usually in spring it's about injuries or about, somebody hitting the portal and all of that. But I think it's going to be really fascinating once it's all settled where Arkansas is going to be once media day comes around and what the media is going to pick them as far as in order of finish. Now, this past year, they were picked to finish 14th. And guess what? They finished higher than that. Not a whole lot higher, but still higher than that. But this year, it's like, how many teams are people going to for sure choose Arkansas to be better than? Maybe Mississippi State, maybe Kentucky. But even then, if they may be better teams than them, but because of their schedule, may not reflect that. So we'll see how people feel about the SEC media days and what everyone feels about Pittman at that point in time, and even what the big storyline is going to be for all of that too. So I can't wait though. It's going to be fun. Spring ball's here, I know, and we'll have some discussions there from all of that. But that was just something when it came out, I was like, Thursday's a brutal type of schedule. But we got plenty of other things going on before then. But appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.